Oh shit, here we go again.
You can't really compare the game I'm working on to GTA. Sure, it's an open world game like GTA, and you can drive cars and use weapons. And there will eventually be a police system. And the art styles are a bit similar, but that's about it. There's no way a solo developer can make a game as complex as GTA San Andreas. So you should temper your expectations. They say you shouldn't worry about optimization too early in the development, but this one parking garage destroys my frame rate. Imagine if I had two of them. Or a whole city full of parking garages. Damn you, draw calls. Damn you. I'm being a bit unfair because it's kind of my own fault. This one building is more than 1400 unique meshes. I have two options to deal with this issue. I can merge all the actors into a single static mesh, which is easy to do in Unreal Engine. Or I could convert all static meshes into instances. Instance static meshes are a lot easier to render compared to plain old static meshes. And I would preserve modularity, so if in the future I want to change the layout, I can easily do it. After careful consideration, I've decided that instance meshes are the way to go. There is just one tiny issue. This is how you're supposed to interact with instances in Unreal Engine. There's no way I'm doing that. There's no way. Oh my god, that is so annoying. I could use the construction script for a simple building like a skyscraper, but not for such a complex structure. If only there was a plugin that could make interacting with instanced meshes just as easy as regular static meshes. With the help of Instance tool, I can convert static meshes to instances. After the conversion, I'm left with less than 100 actors. And look at the draw calls. That's perfect. Except, what is that? Oh, hell no, why does it look like that? Where did these caps come from? After a while of trying to figure out what's going on, I came to the conclusion that instanced meshes don't fit together properly when rotated. Interestingly, the same happens with static meshes, but you can manually set the rotation to 90 degrees exactly, but that doesn't seem to work with instances. I used most of my brain cells to figure out the best possible solution to this issue, and I came up with this. A shader effect that snaps vertices of the mesh to a grid. I wish there was a project setting that could just fix it for me instead, but there doesn't seem to be one. I hope these caps won't affect vehicle collision because there's nothing more annoying than crashing into thin air. Instanced meshes have this handy per instance random node that I can use in the material graph. This node returns a random float between 0 and 1 per instance. This is very useful for skyscrapers because I can use it to make it seem like lights are on in some rooms but not others. This way I can even adjust the number of lit rooms with a curve atlas. How many lights are on depends on the time of day. So during the day, lights are off, but as it gets darker, people gradually turn lights on until around midnight when they go to sleep. And in the morning when it's time to get ready for work or school, they turn the lights on again. It's a bit weird to talk about it like there are people actually living there because it's just a JPEG with some bright pixels, but it's all about creating an illusion. One disadvantage to using instanced meshes is that they all must share the same material. Fortunately, I can use custom primitive data to pick a different texture from an array of textures to apply to the mesh. Custom primitive data is just a float value you can set in the primitive details that can then be accessed in the material editor. To make my life easier, I made this little helper function to indicate the index of the instance, so I don't have to guess which instance I have to adjust. It's a simple function that spawns a sprite actor marked as transient, which means it will be destroyed whenever the engine is relaunched. I then attach it to the instance actor just in case I want to move it around. Overall, I'm very happy with this approach. I even use instances for the ground whenever I can. In case you're wondering, these green lines in the sky are from box triggers. Because I'm making an open world game, every single object can't exist in a level at the same time, because it would be a waste of resources. The triggers are there to load and unload sublevels, so when the player overlaps a trigger, adjacent levels will be loaded. It's kind of like when you hit a light post in GTA, leave the area and come back, and the light post is there like nothing happened, because it was loaded in again. At the moment, these triggers don't do anything, they're there just for looks. I will work on a small part of the city for now because I want to set up a store page on Steam as soon as possible, and for that to happen I need something close to a vertical slice, even if it's just a bunch of screenshots. I don't think a gameplay trailer is a must, especially after watching this video made by Valve. In it, they explain that your page is basically invisible until it's close to release, so it doesn't really matter if the trailer is there or not.
Popular upcoming, which is also algorithmic. This is really just a list of the most wishlisted upcoming games. It's one of the few sections that the number of wishlists does impact visibility. To appear here, games have to pass a certain threshold, and then they are sorted by release date.
Most of the early wishlists are going to come from people who watch my devlogs and already know I'm making a GTA style game. If you're new here and would like to know what the hell I'm working on, then check out this playlist of all the previous devlogs. Thanks to my patrons, Nekot the Brave, Backscratch,